Hey guys, Mr. Moscato with you. Today what we're going to do is we're going to very briefly talk about the basics of graphing inequalities. All right, so we started taking a look at inequalities, single variable inequalities, the other day in class, and what we're going to do today is just take a look at how to graph. And graphing an inequality, especially a single variable inequality is actually very, very simple. All right, so in front of us, what we have is a series of number lines, and there's just a couple of rules that we have to take into account when we graph a point. All right, so for example, let's say that I have, x equals -4, right? So if I say x equals -4, how do I graph that? Okay, well, it's an equal sign. We're including the -4. All right, so all I do is I put a point on the number line at -4. All right, so what that tells me is that point on the line, -4, is included in the answer. All right, pretty straightforward. All right, we saw that way back in September. All right, but we never really talked too much about it. Okay, now when it comes to inequalities, let's do another one here. All right, and let's do one that's like let's say that x is greater than or equal to 0. Okay, so the first thing that we have to ask ourselves is what values can x be, right? Well, x can be 0, all right, because x is greater than or equal to 0. All right, x can be 1, x can be 1/2, x can be 5, x can be 1,000, x can be pi, right? So any value that is 0 or greater satisfies this inequality. X is greater than or equal to 0, all right? So when we graph something like that, all right, what we want to do first is we want to say, okay, well, is x included in the answer? Or I'm sorry, not x. Is 0 included in the answer, yes or no? And then which way do we move on the number line? All right, so the first thing we take a look at is the 0. Is the 0 included as a potential answer? Well, the answer here is yes, okay, because x can equal 0. So to signify that, what we do is we put a point, a solid point, at 0, okay? And then what we say is, okay, which way does x move on the number line? Is x going to be greater than 0, or is x going to be less than 0? In this case, x is greater than 0, all right, is our inequality. So what we do is we draw a shaded line, all right, out to the right, all right, because remember, as we move out to the right on the number line, okay, that means that we are increasing, or values are getting bigger, all right, and then we put an arrow signifying the fact that that line continues on forever. Okay, so we have a point at 0. 0 is included in the answer, and then all values off to the right, okay, that are greater than 0 are also included in the answer. Okay, pretty straightforward. Let's take a look at another one. All right, let's say that we have a an equation, all right, or an inequality where something like, let's say, x is less than 6. Okay, so we want to graph x is less than 6. So we know that in this situation, all right, we're going to start at 6 and we're going to move backwards. We're going to move to the left, all right, because all values below 6 are going to be valid. All right, so my first question is 6 part of the answer? Okay, and in this situation, the answer is no. 6 is not part of the answer. X cannot be 6. X can be anything less than 6, 5.99999, right, 5.8, 5.7, all those values are included, but x cannot be 6. So the way to signify that on the number line is to just simply draw a circle, an empty circle, around the 6, okay? And then we decide which way do we move on the number line. Well, we're going to move to the left on the number line because x has to be less than 6. All right, so we're moving to the left. All right, so what we do is we draw again an arrow. All right, kind of a shaded arrow. All right, off to the left, and then I put an arrow next to it, or the little pointy part of the arrow next to it. Okay, which signifies that all of these values, all right, are valid. Okay, so anything that is lower than 6, all right, is part of the answer. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. All right, so that's basic inequalities, basic graphing of inequalities. All right, so if we do want the point, all right, if we do want the value included in our answer, it's a solid point. Okay, and if we do not want the value included in our answer, okay, then we're going to have an open circle around that value. Okay, so let's take a look at an actual problem and see how we do. All right, so here's an actual problem. All right, from our book, I think it was. All right, so we have negative 4x plus 3 is greater than negative 2x minus 9. All right, so the first thing that we have to do is we have to solve this this equation. Okay, so I want to get all the x's together. All right, so let's take a look at how to do this. Right, so I'm going to add 2x over on this side. I'm going to add 2x over on this side, and then I'm just going to shortcut this. All right, so we're going to say we're going to subtract 3 because I want all the constant values over on the right. All right, so we're going to subtract 3 from this side, subtract 3 from that side. All right, so what that gives me is a negative 2x, okay, is greater than, what do we have? Negative 9, and a negative 3 is a negative 12. Okay. Now, I have a negative 2x. I still want to get x by itself. All right, so I'm going to divide by negative 2, divide by negative 2. So remember, even though it's an inequality, I still have to follow those rules where if I do something on the left-hand side, I also have to do it on the right-hand side. All right, so we divide by negative 2. So negative 2 divided by negative 2 is a positive 1, right? So I just have x at this point. Okay, and then over on the right-hand side, negative 12 divided by a negative 2, all right, is a positive 6. All right, but remember the rule. Because we multiplied or divided by a negative value, all right, we have to flip the sign. All right, so before, where we had a greater than symbol, because we multiplied or divided by a negative value, we flip the sign. So now the sign turns into a less than symbol. All right, so this is important to remember. All right, where we have, all right, this symbol now turning into that symbol, all right, because we divided, in this case, we divided by a negative 2. All right, so our final answer is x is less than a positive 6. All right, so what we're going to do is at this point, we're going to graph that. All right, so we're going to graph, all right, x is less than a positive 6. All right, so again, the first thing that we want to ask ourselves is, where are we starting at? We're going to start at 6. Is the value 6 included in the answer? Can x be equal to 6? And in this case, no, x cannot be equal to 6. X has to be less than 6, right? So we draw a circle, an open circle around the 6, and then we shade to the left, right? Because x is going to be less than 6, so we want to move to the left on the number line. All right. And then we draw an arrow, okay, signifying that all values to the left of positive 6 are valid. Okay, and that's it for today. All right, nice and simple, quick little review on solving inequalities. Okay, the 2 rules, all right, the 3 rules, all right, that we basically went over today, right? If we are Dealing with, if we're dealing with a value that is included in the answer, we put a dark circle around it. Okay. If we are dealing with a value that is not included in the answer, okay, we put an open circle around it. All right, and finally, all right, the sign flipping part of solving inequalities. All right, if we multiply or divide by a negative value, we have to flip the sign. All right, that's it for today. Hope you guys are able to finish out the homework. All right, just take a look on Blackboard. Everything's all set for you guys. All right, and if you have any questions, just ask me in class tomorrow. All right, thanks very much. This is Mr. Mascaros signing off. Have a good night. Bye-bye.